So I sit here on my porch, my screen-in porch. Today is December 31st, New Year's Eve. And I just sat here and journaled a little bit and just trying to just reflect on my year of 2024 and the things that I want to do better in 2025, things that I may have been afraid to do or just didn't put forth the effort. I can honestly say 2024 was one of the hardest years for me. And I also believe that 2024 was a little harder than 2020 when my mother passed away. Um, Many of us are dealing with mental, emotional situations such as learning how to cope with our children getting older and leaving the nest. I think at this point in my life, I have learned that I am in a transition stage right now. And one thing that I realized that even back in 2020 when my mother passed away, that was one of my greatest losses outside of my grandmother's and my grandfather. But my mother was the greatest loss. And for 4 years, I did not grieve. I did not grieve. I didn't know how to handle it. I thought that talking to someone about the way that I had felt, along with all the other losses that, my husband experienced, watching him go through the same type of anxiety and stresses and depression, we just really swapped places this year. And it was real hard. But I prayed to God and I asked Him to help me. I told Him I needed the help. I needed to not necessarily understand what was going on, but I needed to have relief and restore my hope, restore my faith. I don't think my faith was ever shaken, but my hope was broken. And I prayed every day. I fasted once a week. I went to church every Sunday and Wednesday. I did all of those things. And I've asked for prayer. But God still took me through all of what I went through. I feel like now, as the year closes out, I feel great about new beginnings. I feel great about new beginnings. So I was thinking about and reading in the Bible when Moses, his father-in-law Jethro, had given him instruction to delegate. And as a mother, we have control over our household. We have control over our children, our husbands to an extent. And if you're a single mother, you have total control. And when your children get to a certain age and they no longer require that control, that's a transition for you. And so as I meditated on that, the Lord brought that to me. And I realized that I have to relinquish some of my parental control, a lot of it. I have to relinquish just not asking for help. You see, I grew up in a time where my parents taught us and we understood what to do. But I didn't know how to, or I didn't feel like I needed to ask for help in certain instances. And I always tried to do things myself. And that's been a heavy weight on me since as long as I can remember. And a lot of it comes from feeling shameful about your situation or whatever you're going through. So you don't ask for help. you don't share much about yourself. You have people in my situation, my friends would call and talk to me, and I would talk to them and give them, you know, advice when they ask me for it. But I would never share anything about myself. Not too much, nothing too deep. And what I've come to realize this year is me not sharing or me not expressing how I feel or asking for help or an opinion of someone else genuinely, I set myself up to pop. And what I mean by pop is I keep all of that in. I've been keeping it in, keeping it in. And over the years, it's just festering, just like a sore. And just this year, 4 years later, maybe 10 years later, out of all my traumas, everything just came to a head this year. And I really went down a rabbit hole with trying to figure out what's wrong with me. In actuality, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. We just needed to go through whatever it is that we have gone through, whether it's something financial, whether it's something with our children, something with our marriage, our careers, even our spiritual life could have been strained. It's so many different ways that people grieve, and I've come to learn that. But let me tell you something. When I read what Jethro told Moses, he basically told him in short to stop trying to do everything by himself, that he made it bad for himself and the individuals that he tried to help, because everybody came to him. Everybody came to Moses for everything. The smallest, minute things they came to him for. And it was wearing him out. And his father-in-law, Jethro, being the wise person that he was, he noticed that. And he gave Moses the best advice to delegate 70 elders so that he can attend to the bigger fish of the ministry. So whether you have a business, whether you are an educator, or you're in the corporate world, whatever it is that you do, or just a mother, learn to delegate. Give these children their responsibilities back. Stop doing everything for them, because it will wear you out. Once your kids grow up and they leave the nest, now you're left with what am I supposed to do? Because you've done it all. And so I've learned just through reading that passage and just taking some notes, 6 notes that I took away, or 6 points that I took away from Moses listening and abiding with what his father-in-law had told him. So I learned that I must delegate, give other people responsibilities. Stop trying to do everything for everybody. I can't be everything for everybody. It's impossible. I cannot befriend everybody. Some people may not like me, and that's okay. But I'm going to delegate more, even as an educator. Also, resist the temptation to say, move out of the way, I got it. Even with our husbands, when, they may not do something that we want them to do. We may ask them to do something, and they may not do it on our time. You see, my dad raised all of his daughters to be very independent. We are all very independent in our own ways. And with that, when we ask something of someone, my mindset has always been either it's going to be a yes or it's going to be a no. Maybe is like saying no to me. So if I hear the word maybe or I will try, because I always taught my sons, the word try means the possibility of not doing. Or I will try to do this. I will try to do that. Most of the time when someone puts the word try in there, it's a no. So we end up doing things on our own. The other thing, point number 3 that I learned. So point 1 was to delegate. Point 2 was to resist temptation to do things by yourself all the time. Number 3 was ask for help. Ask for help when help is needed. Ask for help in whatever it is, whether it's taking on the household chores, you need more help from your young adult, or just your school-age children, or your husband. Stop trying to do all the laundry on you. Stop trying to clean the bathroom, just you. Stop taking out the trash, by gosh. Allow other people to do things and keep your house clean. Or whatever it is that you need done, allow other people to do it. Ask for help. The 4th one was release the care of absolute control. Now that's a hard one for mothers. This one really stumped me this year. Releasing total control over my young adult son. He will be 21 in a few weeks in January. And allowing him to trust that God has him, that he has established a relationship with Christ, which he has. And that whatever it is that his life needs, God is going to give it to him, just like he gave it to me as his mother and my husband as his parents. So I've learned to relinquish that control, wanting to tell them, oh, you need to clean your room. No, they're an adult now. We don't need to tell them that. We don't need to tell them, keep gas in your car. Because if they're an adult living in your house, that's a task they should be doing on their own anyway. By now, if you have adult children, young adult children, they should be paying their own bills. You should not be doing it for them. So relinquish that control. Yes, we might look at them and say, they're looking kind of scraggly. You need to do something else different. But that's not our place anymore. They have to do it. So relinquish that control. The other thing is to start with small stuff and move to the big stuff. So over this year, I had a habit of trying to do everything at one time, which means I did nothing. I would have a task over here, a task over here, a task over here, and I would have a list of things that I needed or wanted to do. And then I have a mess because nothing got done because everything was half done. I tried to do a piece instead of focusing on one thing at a time, allowing my mind to process the one thing. See, we have been taught to multitask. I don't know about you, but I'm of the generation, I'm 45, so I am of the generation where we were taught that we needed to be able to multitask in our workplace. And that's what got us hired, being able to multitask. And we should multitask at times. But everything that we do should not be in a multitask situation. If I'm going to cook, I need to focus on cooking. If I'm going to wash the dishes, I need to focus on the washing the dishes. But trying to do too many things at one time, it causes the stress. And then you take the control because you're trying to do everything. So stop trying to do everything and take small stuff first and then move to the larger things. That was number 5. And then number 6, one thing that we all have to be reminded of, we're going to go through. God does not promise us, not one place in the Bible, that we would not go through trials and tribulations. He said it, that in this life we will have trials and tribulations. We will go through things. Bad things will happen to good people. But we have to endure whatever process we are going through. So I hope this didn't bore you. I hope it was helpful to someone. But just remember in 2025 to let go of the things that cause you high levels of stress and anxiety, and let God take control of it. That's including your adult children. Because at the end of the day, it's their life. Hear me. It's their life and not yours. So we have to allow them to work through things. Even though we may not approve of their lifestyles at times or decisions that they make, it's still not up to us. And if it's a financial situation, then you have to get better with that. Seek counseling. Y'all, I'm outside in my screen-in porch, so it's a beautiful night out, and I can hear all of the fireworks going off, and this is where I decided I wanted to be until it's time to go to watch night service. But anyway, just make it a point. If you have to grieve something, remember, grieving is not just about death. Grieving can be a friendship. You're grieving that you don't know which way to go with the friendship. You could be grieving, of course, a loved one. There's financial grief as well. Hear me well. Poor financial situations, that is a form of grief, and it can be detrimental to your health. So if you need to go and do some counseling, financial counseling, if you need to cut some of your spending, if you need to put yourself on a expense, not a budget. I don't like the word budget, but if you need to put yourself on a spending plan, then you need to do that. And last thing I want to say is do not, and I repeat, do not make New Year resolutions. They do not stick. One thing that I have done this year, here in 2024, last week, I began doing things that I know that I need to do. Like my gym regimen. I started being more consistent with that now, rather than wait until 2025. Financial stuff that I needed to pay more attention to. Guess what? I'm not waiting until 2025 to look at those things or make changes where I need to. I started in 24. Now I'm going to carry all of that over in 25. I started taking more time for me in 24. I'm not waiting to 2025 to make myself happy or to make myself important. So don't make any resolutions. Take small steps. Do what you need to do. Ask for help, whether it's through therapy. And let me tell you something. Those of you who are on the fence about therapy, it's necessary. If you're going through a transition like I did or like I am, I would say get some therapy, whether it's online virtual therapy or if it's the traditional. But take up some time, especially if your job give it to you free. Do that. Therapy is necessary. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need some extra, how would I put it? Just some extra help. Okay? So don't feel bad if you need to go on therapy, or not go on therapy, or go to therapy. You'll feel better. I did it. I have friends that have done it. And for that, we are better people, better parents, better friends to one another, and we understand ourselves better. So, Happy New Year. Again, this is New Year's Eve. And again, I'm just hanging out on my back porch, enjoying the breeze, listening to some music if you can hear it in the background on my TV. And I'm just taking it all in. I'm just letting God do it. So enjoy 2025. Enjoy the ride because God has something in place for you already. Even if you don't understand, even if you don't see it yet, just know God is God and He does not lie. So get your expectation up. Pray, fast, enjoy your life. See you next time.